Empowerment begins within. It is not something handed to us by society, nor is it a privilege reserved for a select few. It is a choice, a realization, and a belief that we are enough just as we are. Too often we are conditioned to seek validation from the outside world, whether through appearances, achievements, or the roles we play in the lives of others. But the truth is, no external factor can define our worth. That is something only we have the power to determine. For many women, the journey to self-empowerment is filled with doubts, fears, and challenges. There is an unspoken pressure to fit into molds created by society, molds that dictate how we should look, how we should behave, and what dreams we are allowed to chase. From a young age, we are told to be quiet when we want to speak, to be small when we wish to take up space, and to conform when our hearts are set on breaking barriers. But real empowerment begins the moment we decide to step away from those expectations and embrace our true selves. There comes a time in every woman's life when she must ask herself a simple but profound question. Who am I beyond the labels the world has placed on me? Am I defined by my struggles, my failures, my past? Or do I have the strength to rewrite my own story? The moment we begin to see ourselves not as victims of circumstance, but as authors of our own destiny, we take the first step toward true empowerment. It is not about having a perfect life or being free from challenges. It is about realizing that strength is not the absence of struggle, it is the ability to rise despite it. Strength does not come from comfort. It comes from pushing through moments of doubt, from finding courage when the world says you have none left, and from learning to trust yourself even when you feel broken. There is no shame in being vulnerable. There is no shame in falling. The only true defeat is never standing back up. When we embrace our imperfections, we find a kind of power that no one can take away from us. For some, empowerment comes in the form of breaking free from toxic relationships or environments that stifle their potential. For others, it is about learning to love themselves after years of self-doubt. And for many, it is simply the decision to finally listen to their own voice instead of the expectations of others. Whatever form it takes, the essence remains the same. Self-empowerment is about reclaiming the right to be who we were always meant to be. Every woman carries within her an untapped reservoir of strength, but too often she is made to believe otherwise. There will always be voices that tell her she is not good enough, not strong enough, not capable enough. But those voices are wrong. Every challenge she has faced, every obstacle she has overcome has only made her stronger. The world may try to define her by her past, but she is not her past. She is her resilience, her courage, her unshakable will to rise. The most powerful transformation happens when a woman stops waiting for someone to give her permission to shine. She does not need approval to dream big, to take up space, to be seen and heard. She does not need validation to know that she is worthy. And when she finally understands that her value does not diminish because of her scars, but rather increases because of her survival, she becomes unstoppable. The world needs more women who are unapologetically themselves, women who refuse to shrink to make others comfortable, women who lift each other up instead of tearing each other down, women who understand that their strength is not just for them, it is meant to inspire and empower those around them. It all starts from within. Empowerment is not something we wait for, it is something we claim. And when a woman stands in her power, fully embracing who she is, she does not just change her own life, she changes the world. Pain is an inevitable part of life. No one walks through this world untouched by challenges, heartbreak, or loss. At some point, we all face moments that shake us to our core, moments that leave us questioning everything. It is in those moments of deep despair that we have a choice, either to let our pain define us, or to transform it into something great. And that choice, though difficult, is the key to turning pain into purpose. There is a common misconception that strength comes from a life without struggle, but the truth is, true strength is born from adversity. The people who shine the brightest are not the ones who have never faced darkness, but the ones who have walked through it and emerged with a fire inside them. Pain is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign that we have lived, that we have cared deeply, that we have dared to dream and fight for something meaningful. But pain, if left unchecked, can consume us. It can turn into anger, bitterness, and resentment. It can make us feel like victims of our circumstances. It can make us believe that the world is unfair and that happiness is something only meant for others. And for a while, it is easy to give in to that mindset because pain has a way of making us feel isolated. It convinces us that no one else understands what we are going through, that we are alone in our suffering, but we are not. The moment we start seeing pain not as something that weakens us, but as something that builds us, everything changes. Every wound we carry is proof that we have survived, that we are still standing despite everything. And when we start using our pain as fuel to grow, to inspire, to create change, that is when we find our true purpose. Pain can be the greatest teacher if we allow it to be. It strips away the unnecessary, leaving behind only what truly matters. It forces us to reevaluate our priorities, to appreciate the little things, to find beauty in places we never noticed before. It teaches us empathy because when we have suffered, we understand the suffering of others. And when we understand the pain of others, we have the power to uplift, to heal, to make a difference. Every person who has ever changed the world has faced hardships. The greatest leaders, the most inspiring voices, the strongest warriors, they all had a story of struggle. But what set them apart was not the pain they endured, but how they used it. Some turned it into art, some turned it into activism, some turned it into a mission to help others, but none of them let it destroy them. They refused to be defined by their suffering. They chose to turn their pain into purpose. There are moments in life when we wonder why certain things happen to us. Why do we have to suffer? Why do we have to endure loss, failure, heartbreak? But perhaps the question should not be why me, but rather, what can I do with this? Because pain is a powerful force, and if we channel it the right way, it can become the very thing that gives our life meaning. Maybe your pain has given you a story that someone else needs to hear. Maybe your struggles have made you strong enough to lift someone else when they fall. Maybe your journey will be the reason someone else keeps going. When we choose to rise above our pain and turn it into something positive, we don't just heal ourselves, we become a source of hope for others. Life does not always go the way we plan. Sometimes the dreams we hold on to shatter before our eyes. Sometimes we lose people we love. Sometimes the path ahead is nothing like the one we imagine. But within every struggle, there is a hidden opportunity, a chance to grow, to evolve, to find a new purpose that we never would have discovered otherwise. No one escapes pain in this life, but we all have the power to decide what we do with it. We can let it break us, or we can let it build us. We can drown in it, or we can rise from it. We can let it be the reason we give up, or we can let it be the reason we fight harder. The choice is always ours. Pain does not have to be the end of our story. Sometimes it is just the beginning of something greater. Words have power. They shape our thoughts, influence our actions, and define the way we see the world. A single word can lift someone up, and a single word can break someone down. We often underestimate the impact of what we say, both to ourselves and to those around us. But the truth is, words can either be a source of strength or a weapon of destruction. The choice is ours. From the moment we are born, the words spoken to us begin to shape our identity. We are told what we can and cannot do, who we should be, and what is expected of us. Some of us are fortunate to hear words of encouragement, words that build confidence and self-worth, but many of us grew up hearing words that instill doubt, words that tell us we are not good enough, that we are too weak, too different, too flawed to achieve anything great. And whether we realize it or not, we begin to believe those words. But here's the thing, just because something is said does not make it true. The labels that people place on us do not define who we are. No one else has the right to decide our worth. The only words that truly matter are the ones we choose to believe about ourselves. And if we must listen to words every day, then let those words be empowering. Let them remind us of our strength, our resilience, and our limitless potential. The way we speak to ourselves matters. How often do we catch ourselves saying, "I can't do this," or "I'm not strong enough," or "I don't deserve happiness"? And yet, we would never say those things to someone we love. So why do we say them to ourselves? Imagine if, instead, we spoke to ourselves with the same kindness and encouragement that we offer to others. Imagine if we replaced doubt with belief, if we replaced fear with faith, if we replaced criticism with compassion. It would change everything. But words are not just about how we speak to ourselves, they are also about how we speak to others. Every interaction we have, every conversation we engage in, is an opportunity to uplift or to tear down. We live in a world where people are quick to judge, quick to criticize, quick to point out flaws. But what if, instead of adding to the negativity, we became a source of encouragement? What if we used our words to remind others of their worth, to inspire them to keep going, to make them feel seen and valued? It does not take much. A simple, "You are capable." A sincere, "I believe in you." A heartfelt, "You are not alone." These are small words, but they carry immense weight. Sometimes all a person needs is to hear that they matter. Sometimes the right words at the right moment can save someone from giving up. That is the power we hold. And yet, while words can heal, they can also harm. It is easy to say something in frustration, to let anger dictate our speech, to speak without considering the impact of our words. But once something is said, it cannot be taken back. A single harsh comment can linger in someone's mind for years, shaping the way they see themselves. That is why we must be mindful. We must choose our words with intention, understanding that what we say has consequences. There are people in this world who use words to divide, to discourage, to instill fear. But there are also people who use words to bring hope, to unite, to empower. And each one of us has the ability to decide which kind of person we want to be. Do we want to add to the darkness, or do we want to be a source of light? Do we want to break others down, or do we want to lift them up? The world does not need more voices of doubt and discouragement. It needs more voices of strength, kindness, and encouragement. It needs more people who speak with purpose, who choose to inspire rather than criticize, who understand that their words can change lives. Because at the end of the day, words are not just sounds, they are energy. They create ripples that go far beyond what we can see. If we want to change the world, we must start with the way we speak to ourselves, to others, to the world, because the right words, spoken with sincerity and purpose, have the power to transform everything. From the moment we take our first breath, the world starts drawing lines around us, lines that tell us where we belong, what we can do, and who we are allowed to be. These lines are drawn by traditions, by expectations, by generations of people who believed that a woman's place was predefined. We are taught what is acceptable, what is respectable, what is possible. And for too long, we have been told that certain dreams are not meant for us, that certain spaces are not ours to occupy, that certain freedoms come with conditions. But who decides that? Who gets to say what a woman can or cannot do? There is an unspoken rule that a woman should be careful not to be too bold, not to be too loud, not to take up too much space. If she dares to break the mold, she is met with resistance. If she speaks up, she is told she is too aggressive. If she chooses an unconventional path, she is warned of the consequences. If she succeeds, she is questioned about whether she truly earned it. And so, many women shrink themselves to fit into a version of life that is easier for the world to accept. They silence their own voices so they don't make others uncomfortable. They set aside their own dreams because they have been told they are unrealistic. They learn to stay within the lines because stepping outside of them feels like a battle. But the truth is, those lines were never real. They were drawn by fear, by outdated beliefs, by a system that was never designed to see women rise. And yet, throughout history, there have always been women who refused to stay within those lines. Women who challenged the rules, who questioned the status quo, who decided that their dreams were worth fighting for. Women who proved that strength has nothing to do with gender and everything to do with resilience. Breaking barriers does not mean that the journey will be easy. It does not mean that the world will applaud when a woman dares to step outside of expectations. In fact, she will face more criticism, more doubt, more obstacles, but that is what makes her strength even more powerful, because every time she refuses to be limited by what society tells her, she opens the door for another woman to do the same. Every time she stands her ground, she makes it a little easier for the next generation. There will always be people who say, "This is not how things are done." There will always be voices that try to discourage, to dismiss, to diminish. But progress has never come from people who follow the rules blindly. It has come from those who challenge them. It has come from women who were told they couldn't but did it anyway. It has come from those who had the courage to say, "I will not let the world decide my worth." And that is the kind of courage that changes everything. The courage to believe in oneself when no one else does. The courage to walk into rooms where no one expects to see a woman and claim a seat at the table. The courage to say no to traditions that no longer serve us. The courage to rewrite the narrative that has been written for us. The world does not change when women wait for permission. It changes when they decide to take what has always been theirs, their freedom, their choices, their voices, their dreams. And when one woman does it, she does not do it for herself alone. She does it for every girl who watches her and thinks, if she can do it, so can I. So let them say you are too bold, let them call you too ambitious, let them question why you refuse to stay within the lines. Because every barrier that is broken today is one less barrier for the women who will come tomorrow. And that is how change begins. There is a misconception that strength means standing alone, that independence means never needing anyone. But the truth is, no one succeeds in isolation. No one rises without the support, encouragement, and belief of others. Yet for far too long, women have been made to feel as though they are in competition with one another, as if there is only enough space for a few to succeed, as if lifting another woman up somehow diminishes our own worth. But real strength is not about standing above others. It is about lifting them with us. The world has spent centuries telling women that they must prove themselves, that they must work twice as hard, that they must fight for every inch of space they take up. And while that may be true, the greatest tragedy is when women turn against each other instead of standing together. We have been conditioned to compare, to criticize, to judge. We see another woman achieving something great, and instead of celebrating her, we sometimes feel threatened. And instead of seeing her success as proof that it is possible for all of us, we see it as a reminder of what we have yet to accomplish. But when we do this, we allow the world to divide us. We play into the very system that was designed to keep us small. The truth is, when one woman rises, she creates space for others to rise with her. Success is not limited. Strength is not something that runs out when it is shared. In fact, the more we empower each other, the stronger we all become. Imagine a world where women stopped tearing each other down and started lifting each other up. Imagine what we could achieve if we replaced jealousy with encouragement, if we replaced competition with collaboration, if we chose to see each other not as rivals but as allies. There is no weakness in supporting another woman. There is no shame in standing beside someone and saying, I believe in you. There is no loss in celebrating another's victory, because when we do, we create a ripple effect. The encouragement we give to one woman inspires her to do the same for another. The success of one woman opens doors for many more. The moment we start seeing each other as a united force rather than individual fighters, we become unstoppable. Too often, we wait for the world to recognize our worth. We wait for people to appreciate our efforts, to acknowledge our confidence. But instead of waiting for validation from those who may never give it, why don't we start recognizing each other? Why don't we become the voices that uplift, the hands that support, the shoulders that others can lean on? Why don't we create a world where women never have to doubt whether they are enough, because there is always another woman reminding them that they are? Every woman you meet is fighting a battle you may not see. She carries burdens she may never speak of. She faces challenges she may never share. A kind word, a helping hand, a simple act of encouragement can make all the difference. Sometimes all it takes is one person to believe in us for us to believe in ourselves. Sometimes the smallest gesture can give someone the strength to keep going. There is power in unity. There is power in women standing together, lifting each other higher, pushing each other forward. And the beauty of it is that empowerment does not require grand gestures. It starts in the simplest ways, in the way we speak about each other, in the way we support each other's dreams, in the way we choose to see another woman's success as a victory for all of us. A rising tide lifts all boats. When we support each other, we all move forward. When we choose to see strength in unity rather than in competition, we change the way the world sees us. Because the truth is, empowered women empower the world, but first they must empower each other. Change does not happen overnight. It is not a sudden, magical transformation. It is a process, a journey that requires patience, resilience, and unwavering faith. And the most important thing to remember is that real change begins within. The world we dream of, a world where women are not questioned for their ambitions, where they are not bound by limitations, where they are free to live and dream without fear, will not be handed to us. It will be built by those who dare to believe in it, those who refuse to accept things as they are, those who are willing to take the first step even when the path is uncertain. The biggest mistake we can make is believing that we are too small to make a difference, that our voices do not matter, that our actions are insignificant. But history has proven otherwise. Every great change the world has ever seen started with a single person who chose not to stay silent, who chose not to accept things as they were, who decided that they would be the first to take a stand. And when one person stands, it gives others the courage to do the same. Courage does not mean the absence of fear. It means acting despite it. It means speaking even when your voice shakes, standing up even when your legs tremble, moving forward even when doubt creeps in. It means knowing that change is not always easy, that there will be resistance, that there will be moments when giving up feels tempting, but choosing to keep going anyway. Because the truth is, every movement, every revolution, every shift in society started with ordinary people who made an extraordinary decision to be the change. It is easy to believe that change is someone else's responsibility, that it is up to governments, organizations, or leaders. But the reality is, change starts in our everyday lives. It starts in the way we treat one another, in the way we challenge outdated mindsets, in the way we raise our daughters to believe in their own strength and our sons to respect it. It starts in the conversations we have, in the stories we share, in the courage we pass on. No action is too small. No effort is wasted. A single moment of kindness, a single act of encouragement, a single voice speaking up when something is wrong, these things create ripples, and ripples turn into waves. Change is not about one grand gesture. It is about a million small ones that come together to shift the world. And every single one of us has a role to play. The world does not change when we wait for the right moment. It changes when we decide that the moment is now, that we will no longer be silent, that we will no longer accept things as they are, that we will no longer wait for someone else to take the lead, because the future is shaped by those who dare to believe in it. And if we want a better world, a more just world, a world where every woman is free to live, to dream, to be, then we must be willing to build it. Change is not a destination, it is a continuous journey. And the most important thing is to start, to take that first step, to be the first voice, to make the first move. Because when we do, we give others the courage to follow. And that is how the world changes. One step, one voice, one action at a time.